Hello and welcome. My name is Carsten Lützen. I'm an agile coach and a facilitator. Today I will talk about the Team Radar, which is an awesome tool for retrospectives and figuring out what is happening in the team. Source, Derby Larsen, they shared it in their book. So I guess that most of you have tried facilitating a retrospective or being in a retrospective and everybody's just saying, yeah, everything's fine. So the Team Radar can help surface some of these conversations, some of these things that lies underneath. And it helps build this shared picture of what is happening. How do the team members perceive the team? The idea is that we use it to gather data and then sense make on that data. So this won't give you concrete actions or won't give you what exactly you need to do. What we do is we create one spoke per value. So we start out by creating a dot, and then, for instance, let's imagine that we had a value called openness, or another one called courage, one called focus, and one called fun. So we add these spokes on the whiteboard, either physically or virtually, and then we add a 0 to 5 rating. 0 being it's absolutely horrendous, and 5 being whatever the team defines 5 to be. Try, when you define the 5, not to make it about concrete actions, but make it about concrete changes that you observe. So I can recognize that we have a 5 in fun when I see people laughing twice a day. I know this is maybe not the best example, but you get the point, I hope. So make it about changes, because that leaves us, after we have gathered data, to figure out what are concrete actions we can do to push towards those changes that people would like to see. When we've defined the axis, the spokes, and the 5s, people individually and in silence rate. So how would they rate courage? How would they rate the other values? And then they plot it up on the big Team Radar. And then we as a team look at it and think, okay, so we have a huge spread here, right? We have something close to 0 and something close to 5. What does that tell us? Why do we have that big of a gap here? Or why do we have a lot of points that are clustered closely together? Maybe if they're clustered closely together, then that is not where we start the discussion, because we have high agreement. But where we have the high difference, that is maybe an interesting place to dive deep. Of course, again, if the cluster is close to 0, maybe it's something we should look into. If the cluster is close to 5, then how can we keep it? Because it can maybe hit the team quite a lot if it falls further down to lower values. You might ask, but Carsten, what values should I put here? Hopefully your team have defined some values. Otherwise, you can have a pretty good exercise in a session before this, where you define what are the team values that we would like to make sure that we focus on, and then use those for the Team Radar. Or you can go online and find, for instance, the 5 Scrum values or whatever rocks your boat, right, as a starting point. Pick around 3 to 6 spokes, no more, because then it gets too unwieldy. So that is the Team Radar. I'm super curious if some of you are willing to share your tips and tricks for how you have used this or similar tools. That would be awesome. And as always, if you have comments, questions, ideas, or feedback to these videos, please leave a comment or send me a message. That would be great. Awesome. So that's it. Have a super awesome day.